So I recently made some bass presets for my Patreons and YouTube subscribers here. Some whoop whoop bass lines, bass sounds, all collected in one package called Pulley Bass. And yeah, I started to make some dance floor stuff yesterday evening, and it sounds like this. So your usual generic, you know, neurofunk, I don't know how to call it, dance floor drum and bass. And I thought maybe let's add some drums to the bass, and that's what I did. And I use here, of course, also only Bitwig stock devices to create the kick and the snare and the hi-hat here. And I wanted to add some smack to these drums because they are synthesized, and you know, normally you want to add some kind of samples on top, some layering stuff to get some organic feel to the drums, or maybe just a different attack sound. And I thought maybe there is this small VST plugin by Mr. Bill called Slap, and you probably already know this. It looks like this, and it just recognizes basically the transient of the drums in here and replaces all the transients, so the attack phase of the sound, with a click sample on the left side here. And you can change the click sound, of course, here differently to what kind of sound you like, basically, or what you're going for, and also some different categories there. And just replace the start to give it a different tonality, a different smack, a different knock. And there's also here a small processing chain with a transient shaper and some distortion overdrive, noise clap plugin, can add subs here, also stereo field, stereo spray, and also a clip at the end. So this is basically this plugin, but I wanted to stay Bitwig native, or Bitwig with Bitwig stock devices. I wanted to just use only Bitwig devices. So I thought maybe we can do this inside of Bitwig. Maybe just remove this here. Maybe we can do this inside of Bitwig pretty easily, or can kind of recreate it. And that's what I did. So I created this preset here called Transient Clicker. And it's on the snare, it's on the kick, and it's also on the hi-hat. So this is with the clicker, and then I just move here the mix back and forth, and you can hear how it sounds differently. That's too long. And then everything goes here into a clipper, of course, and you can change then how much you want to clip the shit out of this. This is the click only. That's basically what's added, just in the transient phase. You can change the sound here. It gives it just a small little different attack and a small little smack or knock to the drums it needs, that you probably want to add with some samples on top. So I show you how I made this. It's pretty easy, actually. I just used here a transient control device by Bitwig Studio because it recognizes the transients pretty easily. And we have here these two modulator handles. So you can see every time we have a snare playing, it recognizes the transient and this light flashing up here. Right, so you can use this modulator handle here and modulate something. And I use an FX grid here. In this FX grid, I just modulate this value knob here. And it generates a gate signal. And I can change here how long this gate signal is. And this is basically how long the phase you want to have or how much you want to replace of the transient. So if you make this longer, then of course the transient phase is longer. So right, this is way too long, but you get the idea what it does. So every time you can hear now, we have a snare drum playing. I'm switching off the transient here with the select knob and switching down to this phase 1 oscillator. And replacing basically the start attack phase of the sound with some kind of click sound. And then you can modify the phase 1 oscillator to match the sound or the snare sound, the kick drum sound, so it gives, or you get this knock that you want. And if you don't like an oscillator here as a click generator, you can also exchange this maybe for a sampler here. Is it actually available here? No. You can just drag in a sampler here and then just use whatever click sample you want to use, right? So this is up to you, but I want to stay here with the oscillator and see how it works. And I also use here the gate input as a retrigger for the phase 1, so yeah, I have the same phase, the same position in the wave table or in the oscillator table, and the cycle every time I trigger a sound. So yeah, that's what I did here. So you can experiment with an oscillator. You can also exchange it maybe for a sine oscillator or for something else, maybe a pulse, to get some nice clicks you like. Actually, a pulse could be nice too. It's true. Maybe change this here. Yeah, this is actually also usable. Yeah, could be nice too. But let's stick here to phase 1. I think 2 milliseconds, 3 milliseconds is the sweet spot. And then of course there's a clip here just for the click sound and again to increase the loudness of the click itself. And then there's a button here to just mute the input signal and just leave the click sound. So you can audition what you actually do to the click sound itself. It works pretty well, I have to say. Maybe you have to experiment a bit more, but for now it gives the right feel, the right tonality to these snare sounds here or kick drum sounds itself. On the bus itself, I'm using an Ultra Fat, which is also a preset of mine, where I use a multi-band FX3 device here. And in there is a small little compressor I built, and the compressor is special in these regards that it actually amplifies the sounds until you hit the ceiling of 0 dB. So it increases the loudness of all of these bands here to 0 dB peak, which makes it also a frequency balancer in some regards. And this is also available on my Patreon, of course. It's an older, I think last year or so, older preset of mine. But it works quite well on these kind of drums here. And yeah, I want to show you this. So yeah, the Transient clicker here is available also on my Patreon if you want to just download this. And I showed you also here the patch and how it works, so you can rebuild it, of course, for yourself. But I thought it's maybe interesting for you to know that you can actually do this and that you can use it on drums, and then it gives it maybe sometimes the right smack, the right pop, the right knock feel of these drums, and it's exactly sometimes what you need on top of synthesized drum sounds. And yeah, that's how I did it, Bitwig only basically. Then that's it, I think. That's it for this video. Again, just a disclaimer. This is something you can do. You don't need to do this on every kind of drum sound you encounter, right? It's just when you feel you need that kind of knock, or you need some special addition to it. So it's very important for me, because there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube where I think people think they have to apply certain tricks on every tune, on every occasion, on every master bus, on every drum bus or whatever. So it's only for when you really need it, and if you are maybe too lazy to add a big processing chain to get these knocks, or to amplify these transient sounds to get this knock sound. But you can achieve this in multiple different ways. This is just one way of maybe 1,000. You can also just maybe go here on the drum bus and say I use an FX3 here, and only put here inside of the mid box and transient control, and just amplify here the attack sound, pretty short timing. So basically make only the mid-range knocky, and it gives also a nice little, addition to the drums sometimes. It's way too much, but just to amplify what you do here, basically. So this is also sometimes what I do, just use a transient control here for the mid part or for the mid frequencies. It gives sometimes a nice little attack sound to the drums. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe on my Patreon to get the presets downloaded, and also you can download, of course, all these nice little native bass sounds here I made. Yeah, but more presets will follow the next month, the next weeks. I just pump these out, hopefully over the next few weeks. So thanks for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye.